Call this meeting to order. Notice is hereby given. The Mayor and City Council, the City of Nogales, will meet in regular session Wednesday, July 6th, 6 p.m. And Madam, will you please lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you please stand for invocation. Invocation will be given by Ben Winke, Executive Director of the Crossroads Nogales Mission.
Thank you for every one of you for everything you've done for me. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for each and every one here. Lord, we pray your special blessing on this meeting today. We ask that you give each and every one wisdom, discernment, and that you give a heart of joy and peace for one another. And we ask this in the name of our blessed Redeemer. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Winke. Mr. Winke?
Yes.
This is for you, sir.
Hello, Ian.
You guys look at
Ian.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
That's for you, sir.
You're
Thank you
blessed.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 4, Arizona History Fun Facts. This is where we sit down and learn. Para aparecer? Okay. We have had 4 newspapers in Nogales, 2 before 100 years and 2 after 100 years. Before 100 years ago, the first newspaper in Nogales was The Oasis, published by Alan Bird. Beginning in 1893, its purpose was twofold: to offer local national news and to promote the region. If you remember, in February, I mentioned that Alan Bird was who raised the money for the Silver Service for the USS Arizona. The second paper in late 1990s was Border Vidette. That's Border Vidette. Both papers survived until the 1930s. The third paper was the Nogales Herald. In 1915, Ralph O'Neill purchased a Spanish newspaper called El Heraldo de Nogales, changed it to Nogales Herald, and published it in English. It was the only daily paper in Nogales. Hanson Ray Sisk from Madisonville, Kentucky, had started his newspaper career at the age of 17. He worked for the El Paso Herald. In 1914, was a war correspondent in Mexico before locating to Nogales in 1918, where he became the business manager of the Nogales Herald. In 1920, he purchased the newspaper from O'Neill. From that time until his death in 1969, Sisk was editor and publisher of the Herald, reputedly being the publisher in Arizona longer than any other person. His son, Alan Ray Sisk, who wanted a career in photography, instead continued operating his father's business until it closed in 1994. The paper was produced in the old letterpress printing machine. You could smell the paper a mile away when it was being printed. Mr. Sisk employed most of the youth in Nogales. Children stood across the street waiting to get direction from staff so they could buy their papers and run to their favorite selling places. I want to tell you that 50 years ago, I was one of those children. Sometimes up to 30 children would be waiting. I ran very fast to my area to sell the papers. My favorite location was the post office and the courthouse. I always sold my papers in those 2 locations. So if anybody would feed me to that race, they could sell the papers there. That was my favorite area to sell the paper. Nogales International was the 4th paper. Craig Pottinger, the Nogales International opened by Craig Pottinger in 1925. He was hired by Sisk in the early 1920s to help publish the Herald. Eventually, Pottinger quit and formed his own paper, but couldn't compete with a daily paper and only published it weekly. They only published weekly. Pottinger, affiliated with the United Press International, he received national news also, but it served no purpose to publish what the Herald already had published, so he focused more on local news. He did have a trick up his sleeve when it came to national news. As news came up on the UPI wire, he wrote brief summaries of the news on a blackboard on the front of the international offices before the Herald could get their edition on the street. So the International was often able to scoop the Herald. Many times when the news was coming over the radio and teletype wires, people would gather outside the office to get the news. The Nogales International changed owners a few times. Whig Communications purchased the paper in 1982. The editor and publisher since 2005 is Mr. Manuel Coppola. Before the history question, I want to go back to Ralph O'Neill. He was fascinated by flying and became an Army Air Force ace. In World War I in France, and is considered a hero of World War I. Nogales had a huge parade to honor O'Neill when he returned from France after shooting down 11 German planes. He was later hired by Presidente Álvaro Obregón to create the Mexican Air Force, which O'Neill did. O'Neill went on to form his own airline to link New York to South America with the big Clipper seaplanes. He was soon bought by Juan Trippe, who was forming Pan American Airlines. The start of that air service became Pan American worldwide operations. He became a pioneer of air passenger travel. Now this is the question. There's only two people here that cannot answer this question that probably know the answer. And that's Mr. Coppola and his son. Who is the longest working employee for the Nogales International? Anybody know? Anybody in the council?
Maybe.
The longest working employee.
The longest working employee. His kid
Yes?
His kid is in the retired from the service. So he lived on Sonoita. I can't remember his name. Spring, no, that's
I'll give you he's still employed.
Oh, he's still employed?
He's still employed.
not Peña, he retired.
Well, he was at the Herald.
Yeah.
Anybody know?
Real?
Did you, Manny, did you pass that information? Yes, Ricardo Villarreal. Been there for, is it over 30 years?
33 years.
33 years, yes. So the way I look at it, he should either get a promotion, should get a raise, you know, executive to the executive to executive or to the editor or something by now.
Be the publisher.
Oh, he should be the publisher. You know, but that's what it was. I didn't know the answer myself. I thought it was the lady that sells the papers. She was, yeah, but it's not. It was. Okay, number 5 is call to the public, and I have Mr. Jim Weldon.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I just want to take a couple minutes to thank you on behalf of the 2,500 clients, women and children enrolled in our WIC program. The WIC program has struggled since we've had it since 1980 to find an appropriate home, if you will. Been in 5 different locations since then. For the last 9 years, the city of Nogales has made the building available next to the rec center to the program, and it was a great location. We appreciated that 9 years of support from the city. It really helped the clients and helped us deliver more services and more care to our clients. Fortunately, we were able to build a new building on the Mariposa campus. We had our grand opening on the 7th. Mayor Ganino was gracious enough to come and speak. We really appreciate that. So that's all I wanted to do is just thank you for your efforts and your support. It made a difference in people's lives, and we appreciate that. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much.
And then we have Roberto Guevara, Unisource.
Hi, good evening. The reason I'm here today is just wanted to give you an update on what's going on over there on Meadow Hill subdivision. As many of you know, we had some power outages there last week. So we are addressing that situation. We had to run some overhead lines there, which are temporary. We had communication to the neighbors over there. We reached out with a letter. We hand-delivered that letter to our customers. Our meter readers were out there knocking on the doors and took care of that. And those overhead power lines are going to be there for no more than 6 months. We're hoping to reduce that time as much as we can. Tomorrow we're going to be energizing the overhead power lines and transferring all the customers on that segment of underground line to the overhead. That is going to take the issue away of the big load in case we get these extreme temperatures back again. We shouldn't have any problem with that. Hopefully on Friday, I schedule a meeting with Juan Guerra, city engineer, to go over the final design of the permanent underground utilities there. And we're going to address any issues that come up in that meeting. And after that, we're looking forward to start trenching for the new underground sometime next weekend, hopefully, if everything goes by the plan. Now, I want to thank you for all the support. I mean, the main reason we were able to go over there and start working and address the problem that quick is because of you. Because you gave us permission and all the support that we needed to jump on it right away. So thank you very much for all your help. And as you have seen, our line crew, it's there. They work over the weekend. They work on the 4th of July. We have a crew from Lake Havas working here. At one time, we have another two crews from Tucson helping us over here, plus all of our construction people over there. Our engineering department work long hours over the weekend also putting together the designs and addressing all the concerns. So again, thank you very much for your support. Our apologies to the customers who had to go through this bad experience, but we are making things better, so thank you for understanding what is going on.
Thank you, Roberto. Thank you for your information.
Thank you.
And whatever we can help you out with, let us know.
Excellent.
Item number 6, PowerPoint presentation on the Morley Avenue status update. Mr. Guerra, you have 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will be short. Well, good evening. My name is Juan Guerra. I'm the city engineer. Thank you for the opportunity of for presenting this progress report for Morley Avenue. So let's start the show. Outline of presentation is progress today, and then pending project items, video of chronological pictures and issues and resolutions until now, expenditures today, and then also pending identified expenditures, tentative project timeline, and finally community outreach at the end of the presentation. So the progress today, the temporary bypass water line is at this point 65% complete. Contractor has stopped doing the water services connection in the north side of this temporary water main, because we are changing the scope of work in that temporary bypass. We have identified faster ways to do this, and then we are potentially eliminating the need for the north side of the temporary water main. So we are using the existing water main to serve the north side of the, when I'm saying north side, I'm talking about from the bridge Bank Ridge to north. So the south side will be definitely needed, that water main. So the water main replacement, the contractor has completed until now 25% from basically from Frederick Street until Madison. So we are about 25%. So we need a lot more work, and it will be a little bit more challenging the south side because we are more restricted with the utilities that are there, and we have the encased channel invading the half of the road, and in the other half we have plenty of utilities, but that's the purpose of the temporary water main, to make it work, and then finally replacing the existing water main. Okay, sewer service replacements. Part of the job is replacing the existing house connections. 10 years ago, the water main was replaced, but the house connections were not touched at that time. So this project includes the replacement of I don't remember exactly how many, but are about 40 house connections. So they have done about 37% at this point, which is almost the north side. So the pending items are sidewalls, ADA ramps, the curb and driveways. They have not. They have started basically making an inventory according to the plans of what needs to be replaced. We have been also taking another look of what we recommended at the comments of the project, but just to be sure that what we selected is okay and we are not missing any sidewall that needs to be repaired. Paving and striping is pending, so that's at the end. And then the project close out, of course. These are some pictures that is the clay material of the house connections. Most of the times are cracked. That is, as you know, the existing paving condition in the north side, basically. We have plenty of those damaged sidewalls that needs to be replaced. That is the new house connection, part of the new house connection that we're installing. That is a temporary or insta valve in the existing 10-inch to isolate the system and be able to. That is a water brand new pipe and water valve. That is a section close to the entry monument at Monroe, and temporary water line tying.
Mr. Juan, Mr. Rivera,
Uh-huh.
on that trench, they putting trench boxes in there, sir?
Where
Did they just take it out right after you put that picture?
what? Yeah, I can stop the video. It's running, but so they have been installing according to OSHA requirements. If it's more than 5 feet deep, they are installing.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Issues and resolutions. As you may be aware, we have found a lot of issues in this road, and then one of the good things is that the city of Nogales has been working very closely with the contractor and resolving any issues as soon as we identify a critical situation. We work together and assist the contractor to first of all understanding how the system in that area is. We don't have as-built plans. We have very, let's say, interesting conditions. For example, in the intersection of Court and Morley, according to our water department and to our engineers, we were expecting only a T intersection, which is a 16-inch water main going to Crawford Tank, and then the 12-inch going to south in Morley. And the surprise that we have 6 water mains like in that intersection alone. So it was a surprise. Nobody knew it. so many water mains. We have a spaghetti of water mains in that intersection. So we are currently working, trying to identify. We are testing the water mains. There is no water valve, just a spaghetti of water mains with a water valve. So those are the type of challenges that we are having there. Water shoot-down zones, so the contractor and the city of Nogales as well were identifying, testing different sections of the existing water main to be able to work during the installation of the new water main. It was very difficult during the first days. Many tests were done in order to become with an action plan because again, they were not aware of how the existing conditions were. But finally they make it work, and we are making big progress in that aspect. Especially in the north side was a little bit challenging. The traffic impact, so that's another thing that the contractor has been doing as much as they can to minimize the impact to the residents. So I know that this is sometimes it is difficult. Like currently, we have a little bit of we are presenting a little bit of difficulties for the residents because, but should be in that way. There is no other way to do it. We have to work and continue making progress. Underground construction, we also have found plenty of existing storm drains and obstructions that the contractor has been will have to, and together with us and the engineering firm, identifying or proposing a new alternative at the site. So we have been, let's say, rewriting the proposed water main according to just to make it work. Probably put in additional vents and things like that. But one of the good things is that at this point, I want to congratulate our administrator and inspector, Teresa Harvey, because she has done a beautiful job. She has been working very closely with the contractor to avoid change orders. And then we are, at this point, we have a credit for something that was not done, but also we were forced to do something else, but we are balancing those things. So, you know, we have found many different situations that requires a change order, but we are assisting the contractor, so we are also contributing to diminish that need. That's the location where Corey Morley and what I mentioned. We cannot see it here because this trench was open and bigger, and we identify about a bunch of water mains, and all of them are active except one, I guess. So all sizes. We have one 6-inch, one 8-inch, two 10 inches, one 12-inch, one 16-inch. It's very interesting. Perkins and Frederick, during the construction, and we were aware of this situation prior to the construction that Perkins and Hutchins, Perkins and Frederick also needs to be, that is a future plan. It's not part of this project, but we confirm that the existing water main is aging, so it's something that it's a future project for part of our capital project. Will have to be included. This part is we need to find a way to replace that water main. And currently, engineering department and water department is working with trying to make an assessment what to prepare alternative. What can be done? Just probably replacing the existing water main with PVC or DIP or I don't know. We don't know yet, but we are first of all, we want to know how much it will cost and identify the funding source for that, probably a grant or something.
Mr. Guerra, on those lines that you have, like where you had a lot of lines going in different directions, could you identify what location they went to assist that area in the future, or you just know it's going down that street, but can you identify it if it's still active?
Mm-hmm. I think as a minimum, we need to let's say, replace the existing 10-inch with the new 12-inch, and a minimum replace it to existing conditions. The connections that are there, at least doing those, but we want to be sure that we are not missing the opportunity to provide more fire flow or something to those existing. Because
what I'm saying is that, for instance, all the streets like Frederick, Monroe, and all those streets, how far into the return are you going so that down the road, if there's something that needs to be done in that section, you don't disturb the new project, the new work? Are you going like into the street with it? Like, for instance, on the water line, the sewer line, or whatever service
you mean like leaving more room for?
Well, you know, down the road, say we want to fix something because you saw that we were cutting the street and you noticed that there was lines that need to be fixed in the future that are heading down Frederick or heading down one of those streets. You're still making the connection to the line,
right.
The main line you're putting on Morley. But I mean, is that where you're stopping, or are you going into the return of the street?
Oh well, in that aspect, we are leaving a stub out for future
Okay, you're
connections.
stopping. Okay, so it won't disturb the new project.
Right.
Okay.
And we are extending the stub out a little bit farther from the paving area, so just to avoid excavation.
Okay, great. That's good
Yes.
to hear.
Expenditures today. Sorry, probably Mr. Mayor and some of the council members will not see the whole table, but the point is that these are the expenditures that we have current today. The total amount that we have expended was $490,418. It represents 21.54% of the total budget or the total project amount. So I think we are a little bit ahead of that percentage in terms of progress in the field, but in the budget we are behind the real progress. So that's something that is not reflecting the existing progress of the construction. These are the identified pending expenditures, which is the remaining contract with Chaya and the remaining contract with administration and inspection. So this is the projected money that will, if we don't have any change order, so hopefully that will be the case. Until now we are okay. So let's see what else we have. So this amount plus this other amount represents a total estimated cost of 2.28 million, more or less. So that is the situation at this point. Tentative project timeline. Right now we are at this area, which is the temporary bypass, and then the installation of the 12-inch water main, and also the house connections. So this was estimated to finish by October 11. So, and then this September 20th. And so we are okay. We are within the projected schedule, and I'm a little bit positive. I think we are a little bit ahead, but we have the rains coming. Those will cause some delays, and we'll balance the situation there. That's the existing timeline. And then the next phase, of course, is as soon as we finish the installation of the water main and the house connections, so we will be ready. The contractor is starting with the curving, replacing the sidewalls and curving, and also they are ready to start paving one of the phases. The paving will be done in 4 phases, and they are estimating that the first phase will be from Perkins to Frederick, more or less, something like that. There is no water main in that area. That section needs to be, the contractor needs to replace a couple of areas with sidewalls and driveways, but that is the easiest area. So they are very close to start paving that area, and then the paving will be done in phases. As soon as they are ready with one of the phases, they will be pending and securing the ADQ approval for the water. community outreach, this is something that we have noticed, and those times that you learn when you have the situation, like we have been receiving some complaints about the customers are receiving very hot water, and that makes sense because we have an active temporary water main that is right on the surface, and it's getting the water is very hot. So we are. I asked the contractor to notify the residents about that issue, that be aware of the hot water faucets. This is a situation that cannot be avoided. It's, as you know, that it's a plastic and it's right on the surface, so but we need to alert the citizens about that. Questions?
Mr. Guerra, I noticed, so the final, so the final date is set there December 23rd?
That's correct. That is including the punch list, and so, but the project, according to the original plan, will be done by November 11. And
So it should be done by December?
Yes.
So we don't have to change the schedule for the Christmas parade?
That's one of the challenges and we have insisted since the comments to the contractor. We need to have this already painted and everything by the December parade.
Yes, for the parade. So it's going to be a smooth ride on the Christmas parade. That's
So
good to hear.
will be an opening at that time.
And another thing, I just want to say that Mr. Hanesian said that that if you have any problems with the first 100 yards from Frederick South, he'll pay for that.
Cool.
It'll come out of his budget. So you have extra money, Mr.
Thank you.
Para que despierte. That woke you up, didn't it?
Said he would pay for Bergen Street.
Perkins, okay.
You got it. Ese es el Middle Hills Park que le veo.
Oh, okay.
Le pusieron los puentes.
Oh, dentro del parque.
Okay.
All right. But this is only temporary, ¿verdad?
Sí, for 6 months of it.
6 months of temporary? Okay. I'll take care of it. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Guerra. There was no questions from the council?
No.
No? Okay, item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding authorization to seek lease proposals for the lease of Palo Duro Restaurant.
So moved. Second.
Second. Discussion? Mr. Machado, can you present?
Go ahead, maybe you'll answer mine.
Just a brief synopsis of what's happening.
Sure. This is the next step in seeking the ultimate proposals for the operation of the whole golf course. What we're doing here is we broke it off as the last council action was the termination of the restaurant lease that was existing and the termination of the whole lease that was existing. What we're intending to do here is get your okay to lease out the restaurant portion of it. And then we're proposing to lease the copy that you have for a short-term lease, which will give us time to get the restaurant going, which will make it more attractive to seek proposals for the operation of the whole golf area. This lease then would become subordinate to whoever leases the whole thing.
Any questions? Mr. Ganesian?
Mr. Machado, I looked at the contract here. Yeah, most contracts, at least that I've done, that I've seen, is they really stipulate exactly what the landlord and the tenant will take care of in the building. Most of them have the landlord taking care of the roof and any mechanical equipment, maybe the gas lines, stuff like that. What you're trying to avoid here is that somebody who does lease the building and then they do run into a lot of problems and decide, what the heck, they're going to try to just patch it with little deals. Have we had someone look at the roof and look at the condition of the building as it is now I mean, with the rains, has it leaked anywhere inside? And again, I would like to have that specifically spelled out as to what the landlord would be responsible for, and what the tenant would be responsible for. And again, I would like to see that the roof, is it in condition where we could go ahead and say that we would be responsible for it, or are we leaving that up to the tenant? And again, if we're giving the tenant a 3-year lease, obviously he's not gonna pump in $20,000 into a roof. That's not good, right?
You know, it all depends what you want to do as a council. If you want to pump in a lot of money into it, and then lease it to somebody, again, you have to then increase the rental to cover that. Or do you want to do it as we proposed it here? This is a short-term lease, and they're responsible for everything. The idea being, this is just a temporary fix until we get everything going for the big lease of the whole golf course. But I mean, we can change it any way you want.
Well, I just want to spell out exactly what if they're going to be responsible for the roof. I mean, if it starts to rain, I mean, will somebody, and again, the numbers aren't in here, but again, if somebody's going to be in there and they're going to be tenants, I mean, will they repair the roof, or will they just try to patch it, and then we're going to run into big problems, right? That's the only thing I have to say is that in most leases that, at least that I've done, the landlord is responsible for certain things to avoid such a problem getting into a big hassle over actual repairs, right? Especially bigger repairs. And I understand we're just looking at a short-term deal, but even on a short-term deal, it's worse because how does somebody go ahead and depreciate having to put in $5,000 or $10,000 in a short-term lease on a roof?
Again, we can do it any way the council wants, but the way we proposed it is in Article 14 of the contract there. The repairs are the obligation of the tenant. Now, if he does not make, the obligation as a tenant is to keep the premises, including all improvements and so, in the same condition that they were when he gets them. And if he does not, then that's a default of the lease, and we can terminate this lease in 30 days.
But do we know the condition that it's in right now? Do we
Well,
know
sure.
the condition of the roof? Do we know the condition of the gas line, let's say? Do we know the condition of the water line?
Well, I can't tell you right now, but I mean, what happens is you prepare the lease, somebody's interested in the lease, they're only gonna go out and look at the premises, and before we lease it, we're going to also look at the premises, take pictures, document the condition and all that, and then that'll be the starting point. That's the way it has to be maintained during the term of the lease, or else it would be a breach of the lease, and then we can terminate it.
Okay, and let's just say what happens if we were to just say discover that the roof right now is in very bad shape.
Well,
do we still leave it up to the tenant?
And again, it's up what you want to do. You can either fix the roof and raise the rent,
Well,
or leave the rent low.
I'm not saying to fix it. All I'm saying is, basically I would want it spelled out.
It is spelled out in 14. They're responsible for it. They're taking it as is. And if they don't want it as is, they don't bid.
It goes to the highest bidder. So it depends.
As long as it's understood and it's their responsibility to check all these things before they get a lease. Again, what would bother me there is that if they would have to pump in a lot of money into something on a short-term lease, would they do it? Or would they just try to keep patching it up, even though that's the condition it would be in, where that's the way they received it, where it would be just patched up, right? As long as whoever leases it, they understand that, and they understand that maybe they might have to do more than a $5,000 or $1,000 repair job. As long as they understand that, that's fine with me, right? I just would like to have it kind of spelled out, even though you say they would accept it as is, that it would be spelled out that as is means they take care of the roof, they take care of all electrical problems, they take care of all gas problems, right?
Again, I think that's spelled out, and if the tenant, anybody that's going to bid on this is going to look at how much it's going to cost them to put it in the condition that they wanted to operate a restaurant. And they're gonna take that into consideration when they decide how much to bid on this lease. We're gonna put in a minimum amount of bid, of rent. And Mr. Dilly will decide what that's gonna be. But it's gonna be a minimum amount for a bid, and then anybody who bids higher than that minimum amount with these conditions, of course, will be the winning bidder. But, I mean, whoever's gonna bid on it, I'm sure is gonna look at the property and is going to look at the specific lease that we have.
As long as everybody knows basically what it is. Because again, I hate to get into a lease and then, let's just say the one whole section caves in, then where are we? You know?
Sure.
Any other questions? No? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I move item number 8, consent agenda, items from A through G. Before we make a motion, just want to inform anybody in the council, anybody in the public that we want to discuss any of these items. You can request that as right now. If not, motion to proceed with consent agenda.
I move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Item number 9, consideration and possible action of order number 2011-07-047.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve order number 2011-07-047.
Second.
Second. Okay. Discussion? Anybody? No? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 10, consideration and possible action of order number 2011-07-048.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve 2011-07-048.
Second.
Second. Thank you. Discussion? None?
No.
No discussion? No? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 11, consideration and possible action of order number 2011-07-050.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move to approve order number 011-07-050.
Second?
Second. Discussion?
I've got a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Phillips.
Mr. Machado, is this the one you drafted?
Yes, sir, this is the one that we drafted, and this is the one that was presented for discussion at the study session. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any more discussion? No discussion. Okay. Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. Item number 13. Consideration.
Number 12.
Oh, number 12, sorry, okay. There'll be a correction on this one. The clerk put counsel that asked for this council item, it was Mr. Parada that requested this last meeting. And it's consideration possible action of order number 2011-07-051.
Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Second. Discussion?
If we could get, Mr. Mayor, a little explanation on this, what this would encompass.
This is a notice of intent that Mr. Parada requested to put on the agenda. Mr. Parada, would you like to?
This is a required step before the matter is taken to the council for determination whether or not you're going to adjust the existing water and sewer rates. This is just the notice setting a public hearing regarding that intent. Once the date is set, you have a public meeting, you get public input, and then the matter is presented to the council, and then you make your decision. Whether you want to do it, whether you don't want to do it, so on.
And today, we're not making that decision.
Today, you're not making that decision. All you're doing today is setting it for public hearing.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
You know, I for one looking at this, unless I have more information, right? First of all, I don't feel that that everyone on the council is really has an understanding of what we'll be doing if we do get the extra money. I mean, is the money going to be, what is this going to be used specifically for? If we're just going to use it to add more employees or to cover other things in the city from this money, I would be opposed to this. I'm opposed to this whole thing unless I get some more information. I will be voting no on this simply because, again, I know the county is going to raise taxes. I know that the school wants to take a tax to the public, which I don't think will pass. I don't think the public would really be very easy to go ahead and back us on an increase right now, especially after we really haven't had the fortitude to go ahead and get a lot of things done. And it's not the staff, it's maybe the council has not really gone through and decided that any extra money we have is going to be used wisely. So I feel that at this time, I couldn't go with this unless I had some more information.
Mr. Anderson, again, let me just clarify that you're not voting to increase anything at this point.
I understand
What
that.
you're doing is you're setting a public hearing where those types of questions will be asked and those explanations given, and the public will be given a chance to give you input, whether or not they want an increase or what it's going to be used for and so on. But without this hearing, you can't have that discussion.
I understand that, but right now, I don't have enough information for me to say that I would go ahead. If I knew that this money was going to be used in a certain manner, let's say, that we have outlined a certain spending program and what we were going to spend it on exactly. If I feel, and that's what I feel we don't have that program on the table. And I don't feel that unless the council goes ahead and gives a policy on how we're going to be, this money's going to be coming in and how we're going to be spending it, and if we're just going to go ahead and spend it, and we're going to be ended up in the same situation in a year or two, I'm not comfortable with it at all. So why take it to the public if some of the council members, I don't believe, have the fortitude that are going to go ahead and spend the money extremely wisely or in a manner that I would say would benefit the city.
Well, you know, one of the things that I commented on this when we first had this meeting, and I was opposed to this, and I'm still opposed to this for the reason is that I don't care how many public hearings you have, there's always just a handful of people and that probably talk and don't represent the majority of our citizens. So if we pass a notice of intent right now, we're putting it to the public, and if we're going to sit here with 3 or 4 residents of Nogales or 4 or 5 residents of Nogales to get the input that we're probably not going to get, I don't think it's right. I've said that we need to take this to the public, and I said it once before, and I oppose to this, and I don't believe we should go with a notice of intent. This is my way of thinking.
I think this department, on the water department, they depend on the resources and the revenue gathered to operate the department. If there's no revenue to operate the departments, then we're not going to have any repairs on water lines or whatever. What are we going to do? Then we go back to the taxpayers, to the residents. Then we're going to have to charge them to have matching funds, like a special program that we can repair the lines, and then they will have to pay for it, and we pay the other half.
Mr. Parra, we've been surviving for years. No, we've been surviving for years. There's a lot of ways that we need to think. We got to be more creative. I said this, and I said this to Mr. Dilly last time, that I did not want to go to the notice of intent until the public really knew what we were going to do. Because once we request the notice of intent, we're putting ourselves forward that we're intending to do this. And we're asking the public, is this the way we want to, we're basically going to sit here and tell everybody, these are our intentions. Now, are these our intentions? These are not my intentions. I don't know if these are your intentions, Mr. Parra, but my intentions is that I do not want to raise anybody's rates right now, anybody's taxes right now, anybody nothing right now.
Well,
This is the time. This is
My
not the
intention
time.
is to look forward to the city repairing all the water lines. Any water line, any utility is buried for 50 years, gotta be changed. If there's no funding, no money in the department, how are you gonna do it, Mayor?
Well, look,
You
look,
were a street superintendent, whatever you were. What would
Mr.
you
Parra,
do?
I don't care if you get it done right now. It'll take 10, 15 years before any money starts surfacing for us to do any repairs.
Well,
It'll take
we're
years
facing
before
for
we
the
do it.
future, not for tomorrow.
No, but I know, but I mean,
And we're not
I said,
forcing people to.
I said, Mr. Parra,
Okay,
that's
well,
my decision, you know.
Vote whatever you want.
But if you want to take it to the public, or you want to take it to the citizens of Nogales, and you want to raise their rates and their taxes, so be it, Mr. Parra, but I'm not going to, I disapprove of that.
Well, that's your priority.
Go ahead.
Again, Mr. Mayor, my objection here is basically, if we have a plan and we're gonna use this money to reduce certain expenses that we have, or certain money that we're gonna have to need in the future, but I wanna see that plan ahead of time. I just don't wanna see, let's raise the rates, and then we'll figure out what to do with the money later. No, I wanna see that plan ahead of time, right? Because again, I don't feel that everybody's on board and says, we're gonna use that money exactly for this. Later on, I find out, well, they decided that they wanted to hire 10 more people, or they wanted to spend the money somewhere else doing something else. I don't want to learn that later. And the public is not going to be here and asking these questions. They expect us to ask these questions. They expect us to give them a plan for how we're going to use the money. And right now, this doesn't show me any plan. All it says is, let's raise the money. And you know that's what's going to happen. If we ask anybody, the consultants, they'll all say, raise it, raise it, and raise it.
So what's gonna happen, we're gonna go for a special district and collect money from the residents, we're gonna repair a line in the neighborhoods? Is that what we're going to, if there's no money for the water department to do the repairs? Is that what we're running to, the dead end?
I don't think so, Mr. Parra.
Oh, you
But,
don't think so?
But, you know, if that's what you want to request, a district, the utilities district, or, you know, it's up to you. But I don't, yes.
Maybe Mr. Kissinger can answer this. Wasn't all this coming about because of that time that consultant came down and gave us what we should raise the rates?
Yes.
And all that? Wasn't that money going to make up for the shortfall? I think it was $1 million. And wasn't that money specifically gonna go to make up for the shortfall, so we wouldn't be putting $1 million of the general fund into that fund?
That was a one-time deal, Mr. Diaz. This was actually to bring us up supposedly, because we're 10, 15 years behind supposedly. The city's been working in that condition for as long as I can remember. I know our infrastructure is not the best ever.
Right.
I know. Okay, there's other methods, there's other ways. We have to look for other ways. Now, if you want to hit the people of Nogales, you know, it's up to you.
No,
It's your vote.
I don't want to hit the people.
Because this is the direction you're going with this notice of intent.
But Mr. Dilly was saying on the timeline that it had to be done like now, right, Mr.
It's
Kissinger?
preferable to, Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
it's preferable that if we're going to do this now, to make if you are deciding to make changes in the utilities, to implement those changes in the winter months when the consumption is less. What this order does is gives you the opportunity on September 7th, right, to have a public hearing on the matter. Doesn't mean that you're going to raise rates. You can decide at the September 7th meeting not to do anything, not to raise the rates at all. But prior to raising any rates, prior to even considering raising rates, you have to publish a public hearing. This is what staff put together at the request of Councilman Parra to bring this matter forward. And an affirmative vote tonight will allow us to schedule that meeting for September 7th. A negative vote tonight, or if this motion doesn't pass, we will not schedule the meeting for September 7th. Tonight is the question that we're asking council was, do we want to have a meeting a public meeting on September 7th to consider, not to raise, but to consider
No action.
water rates.
No
You
action.
could say, yes, we want to continue, or you could say, no, we don't want to continue, or we can say tonight, yes, we want to have a meeting, or we don't want to have a meeting. So whatever the council wishes are, that's how we will proceed.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Is it at that time that we'll be getting the information that Councilman Sam needs for what the money's gonna be used for? What, we know that infrastructure is the main line. And then like Councilman Diaz for shortages, is that the time that we're gonna be being told that that's what the money's gonna be used for?
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, at that meeting, we have every intent on having our consultant here to go over the rate study that he presented.
The same one we had last time. Same thing.
Give you the opportunity to look at it, to talk about it more, to get public input, to adjust it, to move it, or to simply ignore it in its entirety. I mean, it's your call, your vote, but that's what the intent is.
And that's what the word intent means.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to proceed with something?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Simple as that. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, you don't think it'd be a good idea to let the citizens in Nogales know what's going on? And the way I see it, in the future, it's gonna be inevitable. It's gonna have to, something's gonna have to happen.
I understand,
You know,
Mr. Diaz.
I understand it's
and
not the right time right now or anything like that, but something does have to be done, and it's a problem we cannot ignore. It's a problem that has to be looked at, and it has to be taken care of eventually.
I understand, but every citizen that I've talked to right now do not want to pay any more
That's right.
from anybody.
Not even I want to.
So why have an intent? What we're doing is we're just pushing it forward and seeing if we're shooting the hook out there in the line, see who picks it up and takes it, you know? That's the beauty of democracy, for us to vote on it.
Why don't we let the voters decide on it?
Well, that's it.
Well, let them decide. You're telling me that you...
The voters decided when they elected us,
Right,
but
but you're telling me that the people that you talk to has said, hey, I'm against it. No?
Yeah.
Good. If we have a hearing, then come forward and go against it, then we'll vote for it. See, we'll make a decision here. I mean, why should we jump the gun saying, hey, nay, because two guys said no, or five guys said no?
no, it doesn't matter. Well, let's go ahead.
Yeah, again, the people basically elected us to, this is not being taken to the vote. This is not like a bond issue or something like that. This is not taken to the vote of the public. And again, how many of these meetings have we been to where how many meetings have you been to where one or two people are there? Or we're the only ones there, right?
Every meeting.
And again, I mean, if I talk to everybody in town, unless we can present a plan that's very logical as to what we're gonna be doing with the money, I can tell you, everybody's gonna say, we're just getting more money to go ahead and spend, right? And spend it, are we gonna spend it wisely? The question is, are we gonna do something for our future with that money? If we're just gonna go ahead and throw the money away, you know, again, luckily Mr. Dilly has gone ahead and reduced a lot of our expenses. I'm just hoping that we can reduce more expenses in the water department and also in the garbage department. I mean, what we pay out right now in the garbage department, Mr. Kissinger, how much were we spending a year ago on garbage? I believe it's like 20% more than what we're spending right now. Wasn't that, am I right? Is it 20% less right now than what we were spending a year ago?
Are you talking about the tipping fees?
Yes.
Yeah, we're paying less tipping fees now than we were paying before we negotiated that contract.
Yes, and because the original contract that was done several years back was not a good contract. The new contract is much, much better. And I congratulate the staff that they went ahead and took that and redid that contract. Right? So I mean, we're basically already ahead of the game because we're paying less right now than we were before. All I want to do is be able to see a plan as to where the money will go for garbage and where the money will go on water. Okay? And sewer. Sewer is separate from this, I assume. It's not on here. This just says that this is for
wastewater.
Okay, for the water and the waste the wastewater, right? All I want to do is see a plan as to where that money would go. Then we can present it to the taxpayers or the ratepayers, because they're the ones that are going to be getting the raise. They're the ones that are going to have to pay for it, and that's why they elected us to look after their goods, their betterment. And right now, I don't feel that I would be comfortable in telling the public, let's raise it, because that's what will come out. Do you know of anyone that's going to come to us and we're going to pay the money that is going to tell us don't raise it? So we already know. The consultants have already told us raise the rates. I've never heard a consultant say lower the rates. I've never heard it, right? So we know that. We already know that. So again, I would like to see before we go ahead and follow this with Mr. Parada, Councilman Parada. I think that I would like to have Mr. Dilly go ahead and give us a plan exactly how we would use the money.
Any discussion? Any more discussion?
Can this item be tabled till our next meeting, or?
Well, we've already gone through discussion and motion.
I think, is there a motion on it?
Yes, the motion
If there's a motion, and whatever the decision, it can always be brought back.
Yeah. So let's take a vote on it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it.
Was it roll call?
You want to get a roll call?
Yeah.
Get a roll call.
You can start with me, Madam Clerk.
Okay. Mayor Guerrino,
Nay.
Councilman Fay,
Aye.
Councilman McMillan.
No.
Aye. Nay.
And, sorry, sir? None? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Item number 13, consideration and possible action of order number 2011-07-052.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve order number 2011-07-052.
Thank you very much. Second. Discussion? None, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 14, consideration and possible action. Oh, wait a minute, Mr. Machado, did you want to table these two,
Yeah,
sir?
if you would table 14 and 15.
We'll be tabling 14 and 15. Mr. Machado wants to do some more research on that. So. Okay. Number 16 is future agenda items.
Mr. Mayor, I've got a request.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of trees growing in our wash, trees, and that's breaking the cement. Can we have somebody look over with the county, and because they have, supposedly have the control?
Yes, Mr. Felix, I already brought that to Mr. Dilly, the city manager's office, and they contacted the county on that. And the county came back and said that we had issues with our IGA. I don't understand. I don't understand how we can have issues with an IGA when they have the flood control district and they have the funding for it. So I don't know how we're going to deal with that, but as soon as Mr. Dilly gets back on the 10th,
We're meeting on the next one.
we're meeting, okay, because I'm very concerned with that, because we have those areas where a lot of sediment settled and some trees and it's breaking the cement. Yes, sir. I understand
It's
that.
gonna get worse.
But I don't understand why the county had that. I don't know why we have to have an IGA when they have the flood control district money. They should just be fixing it without us even saying anything.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, also, Mr. Felix, the city also had to clean the, in Monte Carlo. If you look at all the arroyos going through Monte Carlo, the county would not repair them. The city had to go ahead, and if you go over there and take a look, they had to
Yeah, they
spend
just
time
cleaned up the city
repairing them
did.
because the county said no, they weren't gonna do it. So again, I don't know why we're giving them money for flood control.
True. They're taking all the percentage on it. But we'll look into that.
Yeah,
And
if
maybe
not,
we
it's
can
not
put it on
put
the
it on the
agenda.
agenda, so we can, instruct or direct, city manager to.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
do we have a policy of drug-free zone, zero tolerance in the city of Nogales?
Not in the city of Nogales, I know the schools do have it. I don't know if
We have here a zero tolerance
I don't know how we could do
This is
that.
for what, the employees or?
for everybody.
For everybody.
We would have to look
We
into
don't
it.
have one.
No, we don't have them.
Yeah.
Can the city develop a policy? I think that's the question, or
Yeah.
why come we don't have a policy?
We have a
That's what
drug
I'm-
policy regarding our employees.
Policy.
Yes, that's,
But I think Mr. Parada is talking about a broader zone creation where no drugs would be, I mean, it'd be a real zero tolerance enforcement.
I would assume we can't have.
Yeah,
We
we
didn't
should.
go
I would
I
assume
guess we could do it.
Being a government agency, I think we have one.
that we have.
But yeah,
So
the
what?
ex-mayor
Or
put a sign up
or
there last
at the
time
parks,
that
can
says
they use drugs? Is
some
that,
people were drug-free.
or, I mean,
And
at
then we
the
can get
parks,
that
obviously,
back.
there's a no drug policy,
No,
right?
there's a drug law that
It's gotta be-
applies everywhere.
Right?
But there's creations of certain zones where a specific or increased enforcement is done in those zones, like the school zones, for example, where instead of giving somebody a citation, they're just gonna be actual arrest made,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, regardless of the amount involved and so on. I think that's what you're referring to.
Right, because we're a government agency, with the eyes of the public, we should have one. Well, there's zero tolerance, period.
But again, is
For all
this, but again, is this,
Yeah.
but, yeah, Mr. Brown, this is the employees and everybody that is
Everybody.
on property,
Everybody.
on city property,
Everybody, especially employees.
especially employees, yes. What is the policy? Can we get a
Well,
copy of the policy?
we're already working on a revision of the drug policy for employees.
Mhm.
But we can, at the same time, work on a broader zone, creation of a zone for all city property for non-employees. I mean, we could do that.
But can we get a copy of what it is for the employees?
What it is, it's in the personnel manual right now for employees.
Yeah.
But I'll get you copies of all that and then what revisions we're gonna make on that.
Yeah, we can work on that. Yes, Mr. Parada.
Zero tolerance.
Mr. Mayor, what you were mentioning about the banner that we had last year, so that was not really a reality?
No, that was just some identified people that were drug-free and
Oh.
everybody else wasn't.
After first
That was placed, that was done by the ex-mayor. I wasn't on the list.
I don't like you on your own.
Anything else? Okay, we'll go to item number 17, Mayor and Council's report on current events. Mr. Diaz, we'll start with you, sir.
Well, I'd like to congratulate everybody on the 4th of July committee, I guess spearheaded by Mr. Bachelier.
Yes.
They did an excellent job, and, you know, my hat goes off to you guys. Did a lot of hard work. It was very nice, everybody enjoyed it. One recommendation, we need a bigger park and more parking area. But it was excellent, it was very nice, I've had nothing but good comments on it. It was very nice, and I congratulate you guys for all the hard work and effort you put into it. And one more thing, July 21st, at the BFW, we're having a job fair with Mr. Moses Perez and CBUS, Linkages and CBUS. I believe you're gonna be a guest speaker there. And it's gonna be a job fair for disability, for disabled people. And it's gonna be for everybody really, but mainly it's gonna focus on helping the disabled get a job and stuff. So we're gonna have a job fair July 21st at the BFW. It's gonna be 10 to 2. So anybody is interested in going or helping out, CBUS and Linkages will be there, and appreciate your help in getting people up there with disabilities, and maybe they can get them a job or something. And that's all I got.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hansel?
Yes, also I'd like to congratulate everybody for the 4th of July. And also Family Dollar Store, they had all the chairs for $7.50. They said they sold hundreds, and you could see it.
Yeah.
For the first time, I think more people had chairs than were standing. Everybody had their chairs. One gentleman had a cocktail table and had did you see it? A cocktail table and some plants on it and coasters, right? Which I thought was very, very nice, but this is, it was very, very nice. It was a lot of American music. It played very, very well. The food was excellent. Those people that were serving those I guess they were like Mexican pizzas, or what were those?
Viejas.
Viejas. I've never seen so many sold in all my life, right? They sold thousands of those things. Everybody was eating. My wife ate one. I had a piece. I thought it was very, very good, but I had already hit everything.
Did you pay for it?
I signed separado. I did have a Sonora hot dog. I did have the beauty. I did have part of one of those viejas, and they were very, very good. So I did. It was excellent. I thought it was very, very good.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parada.
Well, again, what they said, congratulate the committee that put it together and did a good job. It was really good.
How come you didn't go?
How
come you didn't go?
I was there this year for 12 hours, man, it was enough.
Okay, I also want to say the event was great. The only thing I hope next year the parade be better. We were missing coordination and more attendance. So I thought the parade was really an opportunity to praise our people, and I didn't see any people. On top of that, the Grand Marshal not even have a sign on the car. So you invite somebody to represent, and you not even have a sign for them with the name of the person representing. I think that was not a very good idea. Then I attended the Arizona-Sonora Border Liaison meeting at the Consulado Mexicano. I attended the 235th anniversary of the independence of the United States of America in Nogales, Sonora. Cesar, you were there also. I went to the formal re-inauguration of the new building for the Cruz Roja Mexicana across the line. I attended the art exhibition of Guerrero paintings at the Consulado Mexicano. I'm attending the Citizens 9-Week Academy at the Port of Entry. We went to the farewell to Consul Diplomat from Nogales, Sonora at the Consulado Mexicano, and that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Felix?
Well, I'd like to say ditto on the 4th of July. That's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Felix. Also, I want to thank the committee, and I was part of that committee. Mr. Bachelier did a great job, sir. And I want to thank the police department. Great job at not only the parade, but also at the event. Security was great, and the color guard, the uniforms that they have now for the police, outstanding, unbelievable. They did a great presentation, the color guard, both on the parade and on the event. And I want to thank everybody. The fire department did a great job too.
And the uniforms.
Yes, the hill didn't catch on fire with the fireworks. It was a great job. And even though one of them went prematurely and exploded right on before it even exited the hole, but it was great. I think that was the best one of them all. It caught everybody's attention. But the whole event was great. I mean, thousands of people. It had to have been over 10,000 people there. There was no room. It was unbelievable. It was great. I also attended the Arizona-Mexico Commission, and it was a great event. The mayors of both sides of the border, and we have one of them here, Mayor from Yuma. Thank you, sir, for being here, Mr. Krager. And we passed 2 resolutions with issues from tourism all the way to our IOI, which was one of the most important ones, and they were handed to the governor, so we hope to get some support from the governor in that aspect. But it was a great, also on June 8th, I went to Homeland Security Advisory Council Conference, and also represented Nogales and the opening of the Cruz Roja across the line. Great place. They have a nice facility, and something that it's unbelievable to see volunteers do. All done by volunteers, and the effort. This building is tremendous, and it's very well equipped. Also, we're ribbon cutting for the grand opening of WIC, which was mentioned earlier. I also attended the anniversary of independence of the United States with Consul Dinkelman across the line. I went to Phoenix with Supervisor Manny Ruiz and Superintendent Velasquez to see an example of a college depot. It's very important. That's the direction we need to take for Nogales, for our students, for post-secondary education. We plan to meet soon to work on that. Phoenix has a great place that the city assisted the nonprofit organization with their with a section of their building at the library over there, and it's very nice. And they assist with counseling. They assist getting the kids to the schools that they want to go, and they show them direction, parents and students also. So that's something we will be discussing in the near future. Also, I spoke and I did the ribbon cutting for the Living Center inauguration here in Nogales. I went to Douglas for the mayor's luncheon. Was invited by Mayor Gomez and all the mayors from Segal. And we also listened to the commissioner or the ex-director from Arizona Mexico Commission, Margie Emerman. She spoke at that meeting. It was very good. And another thing that I want to say also, you know, in reference to the parade, we are going to have to look at ways of doing it. The participation of the people of Nogales was, I don't know if it was Monday or what, it was very low. But we had a lot of entries in the parade, and we just have to bring it up a little, bring it up a notch. And you know, it seems like we have to put it to the people's attention how important it is, our independence in the United States. And this is one of the days that, one of the events that we as council sponsor. So you know, I just hope that, you know, the city tried their best, but we just didn't have any participation on the
Well, maybe, Mr. Mayor, if we would have had it Sunday or Saturday, just the parade itself,
yeah.
Even if it wasn't the 4th of July, because Monday's it's a tough
Yeah,
day.
we're going to have to look at it, you know. But you know, if you look at the parade and the event, you know, you can't imagine the amount of people that show up at the event.
Yes.
And then the amount of people that showed up at the parade. I don't know what we need to do. Maybe have some clowns or something. I don't know. So we got to do something there. But besides that, everything was great. It's been a good month, and from here, well, item 18, city manager's report.
Mr. Mayor, I also attended the 4th of July event, and I'm very grateful that you all recognize our city employees. I think we forgot one, and I'll go ahead and throw some recognition to the people in our finance staff, in our courts, in our legal department that also assisted out of the parade. I think they did a wonderful job, and I hope I didn't miss anybody else. Marcel, we already got, and the firefighters union that took care of it. Streets, yes. Streets for the parading and setting up. No, they did one heck of a job. With a parade, I always thought that if maybe we start the parade a little bit later and have it end closer to the start time of the event out at Fletcher, maybe that would draw some more people out.
That's a good idea.
A little cooler or something along those lines. So some of the things that we can look forward in the future. But the event went really well. There was no incidents, which was great. One of the problems we have are that we keep hearing every year is the poor people that have to walk such long distance because we don't have enough available parking at Fletcher for the amount of people. So in brainstorming, maybe next year we can start using some shuttles. You know, shuttle people with our Nogales Rides buses or the trolley and get them out of the parking lot. Maybe get a deal with Walmart or with Arribas to use their parking lot and shuttle the people back and forth. So other than that, it was a very good event. And, I have been in contact with Mr. Dilly. He's enjoying his vacation, and he'll be ready to be back here pounding the ground on Monday the 11th.
Are you sure he's ready?
He said he was going to be ready. I hope he's going to be ready.
Okay.
But that's all I have to report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. This meeting's adjourned.